Cristiano Ronaldo, who can reach areas other footballers just cannot reach.
Close your eyes, and he never went away.
Man is a storybook all by himself.
A walking work of art. Something close to genius. There is no one to match him.
2008, a record had been set. A legend has been born.
35 yards and more. Too far for Ronaldo to think about it. Oh! Absolutely sensational!
Till now, nobody has been able to beat the standard that he made. No Premier League player can compare to him. He is young, he is fast, he dribbles, he shoots, he is unstoppable.
Bonos, who's the best player in the world ever?
For me, the best player in the world ever, Diego Maradona.
Me.
Premier League, Champions League, Ballon d'Or, Golden Boot, anything you can think of. His name is on there.
That's the way to end your worst drought for 13 years. Trust Cristiano Ronaldo to provide a much-needed spark for Manchester United.
People say Mohamed Salah is the peak. People say Bukayo Saka is the best of his generation. People say the Premier League in 2025 has the greatest wingers in history.
Put respect on Bukayo Saka's name. This guy is a legend in the making.
I don't want to be disrespectful to Ronaldo because I know how unbelievable he is. But Premier League Ronaldo versus Premier League Mo Salah, are you sure?
Well, Ronaldo won basically the Ballon d'Or in the Premier League, 3 Premier League wins in a row, won the Champions League. His individual performances, the Premier League's never seen anything like Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime. I know it lasted a very short time, went to Real Madrid, arguably he was better even then at Real Madrid. If you think Salah's a better footballer than Ronaldo, I can't believe it.
I'm not saying that, I'm creating a Premier League all-time 11.
Yeah.
And you'd say the 07-08 season, 08-09 season, superb. 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, 20-21, 21-22, 23-24, 24-25.
How many league titles in that period you just said?
No. Let me remind you of perfection.
Madeira, Manchester, Madrid, Turin, and Manchester again. Wreathed in red. Restored to this great gallery of the game. A walking work of art. Vintage, beyond valuation, beyond forgery or imitation. 18 years since that trembling teenager of touch and tease first tiptoed onto this storied stage. Now in his immaculate maturity.
He is El Bicho. He is.
And then Ronaldo!
Parte Cristiano!
Madeira, 1985. Inside a tiny tin-roofed room burning under the heat without a single air conditioner in sight. A little boy tirelessly chased after a ball made of rolled up rags on the corner of a poor neighbourhood street. Few people knew that this boy had almost never been born because his mother feared the family was far too poor to feed another mouth. His father was an alcoholic hitman at a local club, and their meals were often nothing more than scraps of leftover food gathered together. At the age of 12, he was signed by Sporting CP for €1,500, the price of a young talent exchanged for a tearful separation from home. At the academy, he became the target of bullying simply because of his different local accent. During the long nights in the dormitory, he could only cry alone from unbearable homesickness. The tragedy reached its peak at the age of 15, when doctors discovered that he suffered from an irregular heartbeat condition. A life-or-death surgery took place shortly afterward. He entered the operating room alone, fighting for his life, without his parents by his side. That was the brutal starting line of the man we celebrate today.
When I was a young boy, I always feel special sometimes.
Okay.
Not just for myself, but I saw the people look at me with the different eyes. Because in my opinion, I think I was different than the other ones.
In 2003, a fateful friendly match against Manchester United completely changed the course of history. After being tortured by his dazzling dribbles throughout the entire match, the United players walked into the dressing room and desperately urged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign that teenager at all costs. Sir Alex did not hesitate. He completed the transfer that very night for £12.2 million, a record-breaking fee for such a young player at the time. He inherited the legendary number 7 shirt, continuing the great legacy of George Best, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona and David Beckham.
Imagine with 18 years old,
You arrive from Sporting, you play with the stars, with Giggsy, Scholes, Roy Keane, Solskjaer. I was a little bit nervous, but he helped me a lot. Everything that he said to me, he did. And it's difficult, you understand?
As romantic as the story sounds, his early days at Old Trafford were harsher than anyone could have imagined. The English press mocked him as a show pony, a player who only performed meaningless tricks. His style was full of artistry, yet far from effective. 6 goals in his first season, 9 in the next. Decent numbers, but still nowhere near enough to touch the word greatness.
Who's the best player in the world right now? Ronaldinho, that evidence. I missed it. He's done it. He's not even under pressure, guy. What's happening? New contract.
The greatest tragedy of his life came in 2005, while Ronaldo was away with Portugal preparing for a 2006 World Cup qualifying match against Russia. Devastating news reached him. José Diniz Avero, Ronaldo's father, had passed away.
Cristiano Ronaldo perdeu o pai. Diniz Aveiro deixa o mundo dos vivos aos 53 anos e seu estado de saúde agravou-se no mês de julho. Cristiano Ronaldo ainda fretou um avião-ambulância para transportar o pai para Londres, mas os rins e o fígado acabaram por não resistir.
His father was considered the person who had the greatest influence on Ronaldo's football career. The encouragement, unwavering belief of a father in his son played a huge role in fueling C.R.7's determination and ambition. That moment became a massive psychological blow to the young player. On the training ground, fiery clashes with senior teammate Ruud van Nistelrooy became a regular occurrence. The peak came after the 2006 World Cup, when he became a public enemy #1 in England. Television cameras captured the infamous moment he gave a suggestive wink toward the bench, right after Wayne Rooney received a red card. The hatred grew so intense that he had to hire personal bodyguards just to protect himself whenever he stepped onto the streets of Manchester.
By 5 goals to 1. There's the kind of reception we expected for Ronaldo.
Well, we're getting closer.
But somehow, everything that happened to Cristiano Ronaldo became an invisible force that pushed him to transform himself even more powerfully. And then he began to evolve. His goal tally started rising season after season. 12 goals in the 2005-06 season, 23 goals in 2006-07. The true turning point came in the 2007-08 season. Cristiano Ronaldo was already a star at that point, but he was still playing football more than destroying games. Until René Meulensteen, Sir Alex's technical architect, pulled him aside and said a sentence that changed football history forever. Cristiano, you play too beautifully. Those stepovers are amazing, but I don't want you to be a dancer. I want you to become a killer.
You know, to have to sit him down and have him back. I think one of the biggest things that also made a massive impression on him, and I made a sort of like a 3-minute video of the top strikers United has had. You know, with your Cole, Sheringham, Solskjaer, Van Nistelrooy. And there was a variety of goals there. It was like bang, 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 fire. So I asked him, what did you see? And he said, yeah, a lot of goals. I said, no. What did you see? He says, I'm going to show the video again, and then I want you to tell me what did you see. And he says, okay. It says, most of the goals are scored within the box. Most of the goals are scored 1 touch or 2 touches. And 3, there's a variety of goals. There's headers, there's volleys, there's tap-ins and all that. It says, right, these 3 things, that's exactly what we're going to do on the pitch.
Meulensteen did not teach Ronaldo new techniques. He changed the language Ronaldo used to think about football. And the most important thing he passed on was the difference between a player who can score goals and a player obsessed with scoring goals. Ronaldo before Meulensteen played to look beautiful. Ronaldo after Meulensteen played to win. It sounds simple, but those two mindsets created the gap between 23 goals a season and 42 goals a season. And from the moment that switch was flipped, everything changed. Not gradually, but instantly.
Ronaldo! Out of this world!
Oh, brilliant goal. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, it's a beautiful bit of football, and it's a stunning finish.
He leaves no margin for improvement.
The transformation happened immediately as Ronaldo evolved from a flashy winger full of stepovers into a far more efficient player. And then his name kept appearing on the scoreboard again and again. 17 goals in half a season for a winger. None of it was accidental. nor was it some temporary lucky streak. It was the image of a machine refined down to its smallest components through years of relentless hard work, now operating at maximum capacity. And then, the true explosion arrived in January 2008, his first ever hat-trick for Manchester United. In the 6-0 demolition of Newcastle United, the entire world realised that a new legend had officially stepped into the light.
And Ronaldo, it is Ronaldo! Of course it's Ronaldo! His 20th goal of the season! Oh, this is great, Ronaldo! Oh, magic! Cleared as far as Ronaldo. Is this the hat-trick? Cristiano Ronaldo! It is! His first hat-trick for Manchester United!
Just look at every single one of his goals. That was not luck. This was obsession manifested on the pitch. The man standing beside him every single day in training, the one who witnessed all of this from the closest possible distance, told the press something most people forget. In an interview with Sport magazine in 2008, Wayne Rooney said directly, "At this moment in time, he is the best player in the world, not just the best young player, but the best player. There's certainly no jealousy on my part. You want to play with the best players, and it's great to be in the same team as Cristiano." The man who sat beside him every single day, not a fan, not a journalist writing clickbait, Wayne Rooney, who himself was having a brilliant season, said it clearly, not the best young player, the best player. And Peter Schmeichel, the legendary Manchester United goalkeeper who had seen all kinds of players pass through Old Trafford, also said that year he's learned that the game is not all about doing fancy tricks. You need to do them at the right time. Cristiano has found the balance of being hugely effective by scoring and creating goals, while still pulling off the skills that entertain the crowd. That was exactly what Meulenstein taught him, and that was exactly why 2008 was different from every year before. Now, look at these 3 moments. No complicated analysis needed, just the strongest evidence.
Here he comes. Oh my word! Can you believe the genius of this man? What a hit!
The free kick against Portsmouth. Manchester United themselves ranked it as one of the greatest goals in the club's history. David James, a veteran goalkeeper with thousands of saves to his name, could only stand frozen like a wooden statue. The scariest part was not the trajectory of the ball, but the fact that James was actually in the correct position. Yet the ball was simply impossible to predict. It moved so violently and unpredictably that it turned an elite goalkeeper into a helpless bystander.
This is the goal that you're talking about here. And the ball comes into him here, he gets his head down. At that moment there, I'll never forget it. I tell my kids about this all the time. I was screaming here, no, 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 no. Like, pass it, like.
Champions League quarter-final against FC Porto, Ronaldo received the ball near the centre circle. No teammates were in dangerous positions and the opposition defence was sitting deep waiting. And then he decided to strike from nearly 40 metres out. The ball rocketed straight into the top corner in complete disbelief from everyone watching. The entire Porto stadium fell silent for 2 seconds before erupting. Ronaldo himself later admitted it was the greatest goal of his career, and UEFA honoured it as one of the 60 greatest goals in the history of the competition. The magical night in Moscow, the Champions League final. Facing a resilient Chelsea side, Ronaldo, still technically a winger at the time, produced an unbelievable leap, soaring above the entire defence to head home the opening goal. That night, he was an unsolvable equation. 11 successful dribbles, 4 key passes, and 3 clear-cut chances created. Chelsea were forced to move Michael Essien to right back solely to contain him, but according to Give Me Sport, Essien endured a nightmare night in the Russian capital, not because Essien was poor, but because Ronaldo that night was simply unstoppable. Those were the ultimate pieces of evidence, showcasing Ronaldo's destruction in 2008. One word only: unstoppable. 42 goals, 8 assists, 49 matches, starting from the wing position at just 22 years old. The Ballon d'Or, the Premier League, the UEFA Champions League, the Club World Cup, absolute domination within just 12 months. Sir Bobby Charlton, a man who witnessed George Best, Dennis Law, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham stride across Old Trafford throughout 7 decades connected to the club, stated directly. He does things I have never seen from any other player, and it is marvellous to watch. He has been even better than people here thought he would be, and that's saying something. Pay close attention to that statement. Not one of the greatest, nor extraordinary, but I have never seen. A confirmation from a man who watched George Best play football, from someone who personally witnessed the era of Cantona. So why? Why was Ronaldo in 2008 an unsolvable equation? He was the official right winger in Sir Alex Ferguson's 4-4-2 system. That meant he scored 31 Premier League goals while still having to track back, cover defensive duties, and without being allowed to roam freely through the centre like a true striker. But those numbers were only the result. The truly terrifying thing was the mechanism that created them. Ronaldo's power did not lie in individual skills alone, but in the way they intertwined to create a suffocating system with no escape route. Everything started with his calculated cuts inside, whenever he received the ball on the right wing, and performed a feint before cutting inward with his left foot. Opposition full-backs were forced to abandon their positions to chase him. That action instantly tore apart the defensive structure, opening deadly blindside spaces for Carlos Tevez or Wayne Rooney to burst into, pushing centre-backs into impossible dilemmas between stepping out to cover or holding their positions only to watch danger unfold. That tactical torture was accompanied by his trademark stepovers, but these were not merely flashy tricks, they were razor-sharp psychological tools. Ronaldo used stepovers to read the balance of defenders, and the moment he sensed even the slightest lean from his opponent, he exploded with maximum acceleration in the opposite direction. That explosion happened instantly, without any build-up phase, leaving defenders with only 2 outcomes: commit a desperate foul or be left behind helplessly. From dead ball situations, the knuckleball technique he perfected over years on the training ground became a death sentence for goalkeepers. The unpredictable movement of the ball rendered every defensive setup and wall placement meaningless. Even more terrifying, he possessed the aerial ability of a true centre-forward hidden inside the body of a winger. With extraordinary leap power and perfect timing, he forced opponents to assign their best centre-backs specifically to mark him during set pieces, something unprecedented for any winger in Premier League history. The final piece completing this war machine was his thunderous strikes from 40 yards out. Whenever opponents tried to sit deep to close every gap, they unintentionally created space for his long-range rockets. This weapon trapped opponents in a perfect nightmare. They could not sit deep because of his shooting, but they also could not push high because of his speed and dribbling. Ronaldo did not simply play football. He forced opponents into the worst possible choices with no third solution available. 5 weapons simultaneously inside one player, and no tactical system in the Premier League that season found a clear answer. Teams tried man-marking, zonal systems, high lines, low blocks, and he scored against all of them.
We all saw the huge potential that he had, and he came over and his first thought was to entertain, and we wanted to win. And we knew that with him in our team, if he had end product, we had a far better chance of being successful. So, to say the better word, we were kicking it out of him, the entertainment factor, to get the actual end product, the goals and the assists. And
So that was like a deliberate ploy, and you think overall it's probably served him well?
100%. It wasn't something that we would have spoke about. It's just something that natural that we would have thought, listen, this guy's got the talent to take us over the line to the next level.
Truthfully, Ronaldo in 2008 was not absolutely perfect. He collapsed from the penalty spot in the Champions League final against Chelsea, right in the heaviest pressure moment of the entire season. Sometimes he still held onto the ball for too long, slowing down United's blazing attacking rhythm. And we must also admit he was fortunate to play inside a perfectly balanced Manchester United side, with the steel wall of Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic behind him, alongside supreme controlling minds like Paul Scholes and Michael Carrick. But none of that can erase 31 Premier League goals, an unprecedented record for a winger that still remains untouched today, before leading United to a historic double. In Premier League history, no winger, neither before nor after 2008, has ever achieved the same thing. Mohamed Salah is now a great player, but he is 32 years old, and his form is gradually waning exactly as the English press has described this very season. Bukayo Saka is world class, but his best Premier League season has never surpassed 20 goals. Erling Haaland in the 2020-23 season delivered one of the greatest individual campaigns in English football history, winning major trophies continuously with Manchester City. He contributed 52 goals in 53 matches across all competitions, but everything Haaland achieved came as a striker, and he still lacks the ultimate honour, the Ballon d'Or, to truly stand beside Ronaldo. And all of these players are competing in an era where analytics are more advanced, sports science is better, and training methodology is vastly superior to 2008. They possess every advantage Ronaldo never had and still have not reached those numbers. Nearly 2 decades have passed. If in the next 5 or 10 years we still cannot find another winger in England capable of touching the Ballon d'Or, then perhaps the debate about who is the greatest player in Premier League history actually ended 18 years ago. We are merely living in its aftermath. Football may continue to produce more superstars, more terrifying goal-scoring machines, but there will only ever be one, and only one. Cristiano Ronaldo of 2008, the one and only. If you enjoy our video, don't forget to hit like to help this video reach to other football lovers, and hit the subscribe button to follow for more interesting videos about football stories. See you in the next video.